Pistons are going to have a lot of matches that are going to feel like hell this year because they are in the Eastern Conference. And
Yeah.
that's what we got to talk about today. I want to stack the Pistons up and see where do we feel like they are right now against the rest of the Eastern Conference. Because Jeff, as we have conversations and you know, one of the goals that we have for this season is that we want to see Detroit potentially get to the play-in, right?
Mhm.
But it's going to take a hell of a road for us to get there. So, with that, let's have a conversation. And Jeff, let's start with the obvious point. In our lifetime, have we seen a more stacked Eastern Conference?
No,
Because this is insane.
no, not in my lifetime. It was always the flacker that I guess you could say against LeBron, if you could come at him, was, well, he's in the East. The East is
Mm-hmm.
terrible. That's always been the knock. And it seems like when LeBron left and now went to the Lakers, over the years the East has just been getting better and better and better. So lately now, I mean, even if you look at the standings right now, the 10th seed in the East, you have to have at least 40 wins. I mean, the 10th seed this year was Charlotte, and they had 43 wins, as opposed to in the West, the Spurs had 34. So, like, it's
Mm-hmm.
a 10-win difference just to make the play-in. So, it's drastically different now. It really is.
Yeah, without a doubt. And in the Eastern Conference, one thing that you can really point out is just the depth of talent that is there
Yeah.
at each and every team. So let's start at the obvious point, and it's that there are a few teams at the top of this conference that are going to be really difficult to have to play 4 times
Mhm.
a year. Specifically, the Pistons will have to face the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks in their division. And obviously, these teams, when we look at where they're at, there's a lot of reasons why these guys are at the top of the top, right? For one, their stars are aged, they have
Yep.
experience, they've been there. You know, some of these teams at the top have been as far as the Eastern Conference Finals, have won championships, or have been in the finals and have almost been at the step of it. So
Mhm.
for Detroit, they're going to have a lot of challenges of having to face some really experienced, battle tested teams. And so, Jeff, what's going to be important about those types of games for the Pistons, and what is it going to take for us to eventually be one of those teams that people are scared of in the conference?
Right now, it's based on these guys developing. It starts with Cade, and we already can tell from right away his rookie season he's going to be a special player. But it starts also with Jaden Ivey and Sadiq Bey, because you saw Sadiq last year take the jump. He had a 50 ball. A lot of that, though, was inconsistency. That was the thing we talked about with Sadiq Bey. If he can be more consistent, up his averages, up his shooting percentages, and then you have Jaden Ivey, who the co-star along Cade, who can get up there, creep up to 20 points per game. Like, you have a solid big three forming in Detroit, and you have pieces around them like Isaiah Stewart, who's going to help you in the long run when you're going to war in the playoffs with teams like Milwaukee or teams like Philly. Like that versatility with Isaiah Stewart, and if he can stretch out and hit the three ball, his value is just going to go through the roof. So that's really what it comes down to: is what does Jaden look like in 3 years? That's what I'm looking for. How do these guys develop? Because the ceiling of this team and Troy's, that's why he's been so patient in free agency. We haven't went out and got that big fish. You don't even know if you need to yet. You have to see these guys play out now in 2 to 3 years. If it's Cade, the best player, you have Jaden Ivey and Sadiq and Troy sitting there like, you know what? We can add one more star to this team and just put it all together, then he can do that. But right now, you just don't know the potential, Sean. You could have a team that can make multiple Eastern Conference Finals runs in the future. You just don't know. It's way too early. So a lot of what the Pistons are going to do is based on these guys developing. Bottom line, how
Yeah.
they can play together.
Yeah, without a doubt. And in these matchups that they're going to be having against these top teams in the Eastern Conference, talk about an opportunity to develop. I mean, for our big guys and Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be circling the dates that they're going to be facing Giannis Antetokounmpo, because that's going to be a true challenge. And so for Detroit, I feel like the goal this season is, how do you walk out of some of these series against the top teams in the league, and how do you make it so that you say split a series in the season against the Boston Celtics or split a series
Right.
against the Miami Heat, right? How do you make it so that you're not only getting better and showing in the interim that this team does have the legs to get to where they're at, but in addition, that you can compete now, and even if you're not up towards the top, you can be a team that teams don't want to face, right? Like, I
Absolutely.
think specifically like Detroit against that Boston Celtics team that we just saw make it to the finals. For whatever reason, whenever these two teams matched up, it was always a super close, tight, and competitive game. So, when looking at the upper echelon of this Eastern Conference, I really think, with Detroit, it's how can they prove themselves to these teams, and again, how do we use this as an opportunity to see where we stack up?